is one of the most famous spiritual games ever created. The Ouija board has long been shrouded in an extremely eerie and mysterious veil. Is there a successful method of communicating with the spiritual world known as the Ouija board? Or is it merely a fictional ritual created by humans for personal purposes? Today, scientists have explained many spiritual mysteries that were once big question marks, such as sleep paralysis, ghostly encounters, and a Ouija board have been specific. However, there is still much controversy surrounding the ritual of summoning forces from the other world through the Ouija board. The boundary between spirituality, deception, and human profiteering motives is too blurred when we talk about the Ouija board. Join the CD team of the Primordial Universe to explore this mysterious game. The Ouija board, a mysterious spiritual ritual, or a fictional prank. The Ouija board, also known as a talking board, is known to us as a game, a spiritual ritual to communicate with deities and supernatural forces. To practice this game, participants need to use a tool called a Ouija board. This is a wooden board with letters carved on it, along with a tool called a planchette. When conducting a Ouija session, although one person can still do it, usually the game requires two people. And through summoning rituals, a communication session using the letters on the Ouija board between the players and the summoned spirits will be performed. The summoned spirits could be ghosts, demons, deities, or simply a wandering spirit near the Ouija session. Regarding the origin of the Ouija board, many historical documents suggest that the first and most primitive Ouija boards appeared around the 5th century AD in China. Ancient Chinese people viewed the Ouija board as a tool for summoning spirits, and those needing to communicate with spirits had to rely on shamans or Taoist priests of that time to conduct Ouija sessions. During that period, the Ouija board was called Fuji planchette writing, and to perform this ritual, the Chinese would typically use a wooden stick held by two people on each side. Then, with the specific summoning rituals of each sect, that wooden stick would be moved to form letters or specific symbols on a tray of rice or sand prepared beforehand. Besides rice and sand, Taoist priests of that time could also use stove ash or finely ground wood from used coffins as substitutes. The characters appearing on the rice tray would be considered as instructions, messages that the deities wanted them. The Fuji technique held significant cultural importance in the development of Chinese society. Since its appearance, this spiritual game gradually developed and became popular from around the 10th to the 13th century AD during the Song Dynasty. Although there are some relatively different points from the operation of the modern Ouija board, fundamentally, the Fuji technique back then had elements and purposes completely similar to the Ouija board today. However, some documents suggest that Wang Changyang, a famous ancient Chinese Taoist priest, founder of the Shenzhen school, might be the father of this mysterious spiritual ritual. At that time, people called it Jedi or Fuji. According to historical records, Wang Changyang used this ritual to conduct sessions communicating with the deceased, viewing it as a spiritual religious feature of the Shenzhen sect. At that time, because this Taoist priest used a wooden board noting characters and a small wooden piece to move on it, this board is also considered the first Ouija board and has been passed down to this day. However, due to the aforementioned spiritual, superstitious, and fortune-telling factors of the Qing dynasty, the court had issued bans against the Ouija board. Any citizen secretly using this spiritual ritual would be severely punished at that time. In the West, the earliest traces of the Ouija board are believed to have appeared in ancient Greece. However, at that time, this game was purely for entertainment, not related to any mysterious spiritual elements. It wasn't until 1890 that Elijah Bond, an American inventor and businessman, contributed to developing this game on a large scale. He produced and standardized Ouija board tools and marketed it as a toy across the United States. Along with his business partner Charles Kennard,
Bond achieved the first milestones in popularizing the Ouija board game to every household in America. These two businessmen later also applied for an official patent for the Ouija board on February 10, 1890. That patent bore the number 446,054 and is still preserved to this day by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. After Elijah Bond, by the 1920s, William Fuld commercialized the Ouija board as a mass-market game globally. The popularity of Ouija boards continued when in 1966, the Parker Brothers Toy Company, headquartered in Salem, Massachusetts, USA, acquired the patent rights and continued developing the game. During the development stages of the Western Ouija board, it was merely an entertaining game for groups of young friends. But the mysterious spiritual element only began to be incorporated into the game when Pearl Curran used the Ouija board to conduct sessions summoning the spirits of soldiers who died in World War I. And this tool is often decorated with symbols like the sun, moon, and stars. Additionally, depending on different countries or religions, the Ouija board may also be depicted with many other characteristic details such as crosses or specific religious symbols related to that faith. Most modern Ouija boards use the Latin alphabet, however, there are cases where the board is adapted to suit different countries.
Throughout the development history of the Ouija board, many variations have been created to facilitate communication with spirits from the other world.
And Saint.
Another layout of a Ouija board is that players use a type of board with letters arranged vertically, leaning entirely to one side of the board. Thus, the center of the Ouija board will be the place for players to place the planchette. Additionally, in many Asian countries, Ouija boards are also designed in a circular shape instead of its original rectangular shape. Despite any variations, in reality, the Ouija board can be completely designed by ourselves.
And after having the Ouija board, players need to use a small piece of wood, often carved into a heart or triangle shape, to proceed with the game. This piece of wood is called the planchette or heart pointer. Although traditionally the material of the planchette is wood, in recent years, people also often use clear plastic or glass to replace it. In many cases, the planchette needs to have a hole or indentation. Additionally, people often use wood from coffins that the deceased used to make the planchette. Many believe that a planchette made from this material will make the Ouija ritual smoother, easier to communicate with spirits from the other world. When the full set of tools is prepared, players can begin the Ouija ritual. This game requires at least 2 people to perform. Nevertheless, in theory, the ritual of calling spirits can still be performed with just one person. However, to ensure the safety of players, those who have performed this spiritual ritual advise that at least 2 people are necessary. And those who play the Ouija board usually begin their rituals in an empty place, often at night to enhance the chance of summoning spiritual forces to appear. According to experiences from those who have performed Ouija board sessions, the ideal time to start a session is from 2 to 4 a.m. This is the time of the most yin energy in a day. Additionally, to avoid other external factors that could affect the success of this spiritual game, It is often advised that participants must completely remove sound devices like TVs or computers from the space near the ritual area.
Furthermore, according to other rumors, asking spirits should only be done less than 10 times. If exceeding that number, the player's lifespan could be negatively affected. Moreover, when a player finishes asking a question, the mind must be very calm, avoiding complex thoughts to make a Ouija session most effective.
One thing to note when playing the Ouija board is that you should find someone with very thick leg hair to play with.
Because such people have strong killing aura, having such a person play with us will make us less afraid of being possessed. The important thing is that while playing, no matter what happens, you should not suddenly run away. Because it's possible that one of the participants might encounter unfortunate misfortunes due to the influence of spiritual forces. Since this is a ritual to communicate with the other world, the Ouija board needs a mantra.
When performing the above ritual, the participants need to gather together and then recite the following mantra.
3 ghosts, pure spirits above heaven, below hell. Please enter this planchette. 3 incense sticks are already lit.
Please come up to play. Please come up to enjoy. Make the planchette spin and run in circles. Please come up to play. Please come up to enjoy together.
After that, the players will together place their hands on the planchette. Among the participants of the game, one person will be chosen to be the host of the ceremony. That means this person will be allowed to ask a question. Nevertheless, in the role of this character, it is mainly to perform the farewell rituals, ending the Ouija board game. In reality, participants of the ceremony still have the right to ask questions to the spiritual forces. The person chosen to be the host of the ceremony needs to be someone with strong yang energy, healthy. Because this character will often be the one who suffers the most spiritual effects after.
Since the Ouija board is a spiritual ritual, it also has certain principles and taboos when performing this ritual. There is a rule passed on by many people that we should never perform an Ouija board ritual in a cemetery.
Additionally, other spiritual locations like temples or places where accidents have occurred should also not be the location for playing this mysterious game.
According to the explanation of experienced people, conducting an Ouija board session at the aforementioned locations easily causes players to summon evil spirits or spiritual forces, or worse, demonic entities.
Another rule you need to note when playing the Ouija board is that you should not play alone.
As mentioned above, in theory, performing this ritual can be done with only one player. However, conducting this ritual alone harbors many dangers for the summoner.
Therefore, in normal cases, the Ouija board should only be performed with at least 2 participants. While using the Ouija board, everyone should be cautious about the planchette. It is usually placed in the starting position. When the game ends, you also need to place it back in its original position. This is an item carrying extremely heavy yin energy. If it cannot be burned, or if you bring it home, it will weaken the yang energy of the person. The person who takes the planchette home will easily get sick or be controlled, harmed by spiritual forces. The host of a Ouija board session will usually be the one responsible for keeping the planchette after the game. And a special note is that you should not play at your own home. This will cause risks and unwanted consequences. When performing a Ouija board ritual at home, you will be distracted and the play will be incorrect, adversely affecting your family and your own spirit. Instead, you also should not place the Ouija board together with other household items. Playing the Ouija board in your own home will significantly affect the house's energy. This will lead to the loss of peace, wealth, and health of your family members.
If you really want to play the Ouija board, you should choose a place with a spacious, quiet room, with nothing in it, especially a room where no one lives and does not affect anyone's life in that room.
You should also understand how to play the Ouija board and the rules before starting to avoid unwanted risks.
During the Ouija board session, if the players suddenly see the planchette moving in the shape of the number 8 or moving in reverse order through letters or numbers, meaning the planchette moves sequentially from Z to R 0 to 9, then the participants need to quickly move the planchette to the farewell position to end the game. The above action indicates that the spirits are trying to escape the game. If not ended quickly, the players are very likely to encounter misfortunes in life or health due to the anger of the spiritual forces. As a spiritual game, it's not hard to understand why there are many eerie stories worldwide surrounding the Ouija board. And among them, there are tragic stories that have occurred when people perform the Ouija board. In 2001, in Oklahoma, a state in the United States, a woman accused of stabbing her son-in-law to death, following the suggestion of a Ouija board, was declared not guilty by reason of insanity. Karen Sue Alvaker, 53 years old, had to stand trial for stabbing Brian Rush, 34 years old, to death on February 11, 2001. This incident shocked Oklahoma at the time. Alvaker, Tammy Rush, and Rush's daughters were said to be playing the Ouija board. Then a message came to Alvaker that Brian Rush was evil and God told Alvaker to kill him. After that, this woman stabbed Brian once in the chest with a knife while he was sleeping. Investigators also said that Alvaker tried to stab Tammy Rush's 10-year-old daughter but was unsuccessful. Then, my grandmother and Tammy hid the knife and drove Tammy Rush's 2 daughters on Interstate 44, attempting to kill them all by crashing the car into a highway sign in Lincoln County. Alvaker broke both legs while the other passengers escaped with minor injuries. Alvaker tried to push Tammy Rush's 15-year-old daughter into oncoming traffic but failed before fleeing into a forest where she was arrested by police. Alvaker and Tammy Rush were prosecuted, and many at the time thought a fitting punishment would be given to the murderer. However, that was not the case. There were 2 witnesses who defended Alvaker. They claimed this woman was insane at the time of the murder. Another witness contradicted the prosecution's expert who had interrogated Alvaker and also agreed that she was insane. Thus, Alvaker was acquitted. However, this murderer was also said to have been placed in a mental hospital for the mentally ill shortly after. As for Tammy Rush's case, she was also charged with accessory to murder and child abuse. Police suspected Tammy hid the murder weapon and did nothing to help her dying husband after he pleaded for help. However, prosecutors dropped the accessory charge against Tammy Rush, only convicting her of child abuse and sentencing her to 1 year in Brady County Prison. Besides the above case, in Spain, there is also a story circulating about a girl who lost her life because of playing with a Ouija board. Devil possession. The content of the aforementioned work tells about mysterious events surrounding a girl who previously performed a Ouija board which Veronica caused a stir in theaters for a long time. However, few knew that this horror film was actually based on a completely true real-life event. The film's inspiration was based on the story of a Spanish girl named Estefania Gutierrez Lazaro, born in 1973. Estefania was a teenage girl living in the outskirts of Oman Ridge around the early 90s. She performed a strange ritual and was haunted by a demon for months. What happened to this girl is a story still shrouded in mystery. Her family and local police believe her death is proof of how terrifying and horrifying a Ouija board can be. Estefania was an 18-year-old girl from Valeses, an outer area in southern Madrid. According to her parents, she was just a normal high school student with a passion for strange things like Ouija boards or demonic masks. However, they never thought that would permanently change their beloved daughter's life later on. According to family members, she was described as an intelligent and sociable girl. However, Estefania saddened her parents because she had an extremely puzzling interest related to spiritual phenomena and the occult. Many times, this 18-year-old girl went to strange local places to satisfy her passion. Her parents told the police that their daughter bought a Ouija board when she was 17 years old. 1 year before Estefania's death occurred, in order to communicate with her ex-boyfriend, who had died in a traffic accident. According to some classmates, this girl performed rituals to summon her ex-boyfriend's spirit right in the classroom.
Everything only stopped when a nun discovered the aforementioned action and immediately demanded Estefania stop it right away.
However, a conflict arose between her and this nun, causing the Ouija board to be destroyed right as the ritual was still ongoing.
Extremely angry about the above interruption, this 18-year-old girl quickly went home. However, in the following days, the real nightmare truly began for the young girl. Estefania's family members continuously saw their daughter exhibiting strange behaviors like talking to herself, frequently being fearful and withdrawn. Many times, Estefania claimed she had seen mysterious shadows moving around the house. She even believed the aforementioned entities were the evil demons she had summoned when performing a Ouija board ritual. Shortly after, her parents took her to the hospital for a health check. However, doctors at Bangor at that time concluded that the girl was still in normal condition both physically and mentally.
Strangely, after many treatments and examinations, no one detected any health issues with Estefania. But later, this 18-year-old girl began experiencing continuous seizures and was often in a mentally unclear state. Unable to endure the torment both mentally and physically. Just over half a year after performing the Ouija board ritual, Estefania passed away. Only later did the nun from before reveal that the poor girl had mistakenly summoned an evil demon, not her poor ex-boyfriend.
At that time, this nun did not dare reveal the truth, fearing her own life would also be difficult to keep before the evil power. After Estefania's death, police had to repeatedly visit her home to investigate the spiritual phenomena.
Things like strange noises every night, or doors in the room automatically opening and closing without any influence.
The peak of these strange things was that just a few months after her death, her portrait photo mysteriously caught fire.
Local investigators later recorded all these strange events in a report stored to this day at the Madrid Police Department. Finally, unable to endure the daily haunted life, Estefania's family decided to leave the house and move to live elsewhere.
The story of the young 18-year-old girl Estefania is still considered one of the most mysterious cases ever received by the local police. Regarding this highly eerie game, scientists have tried to explain it through scientific progress to prove that no spiritual force appeared here.
And after much research, scientists have somewhat explained the mysteries of the Ouija board. According to research by Chris French, a professor at the police department, scientists have attempted to explain the mysteries of the Ouija board.
According to research by Chris French, a psychology professor at Goldsmiths, University of London, who has spent decades studying supernatural experiences related to the Ouija board. The first time he used the Ouija board was when he was in college. Chris and his friends designed their own Ouija board by writing on a piece of paper and using a wine glass as a pointer. Chris recalls feeling as if the wine glass was moving, a sensation that felt very real and vivid.
After years of research, he discovered that what he experienced was simply the ideomotor effect.
Although the Ouija board has a very long history, modern scientists have provided many arguments to debunk it.
One of the most convincing hypotheses is the ideomotor effect.
This effect suggests that if someone moves the planchette or Ouija board intentionally, or participants move the planchette unconsciously due to subconscious muscle twitches. When participating in a Ouija board game with expectations of supernatural phenomena, users are easily convinced that spirits are moving it.
Essentially, this effect occurs when participants have a strong belief in supernatural phenomena.
This effect is most clearly demonstrated in a trick called the turning table. Specifically, the Ouija board is influenced and moved by humans, so the planchette moves accordingly.
This could be a result of the physical design of the table combined with the trick of the Ouija board. This could be a result of the physical design of the table combined with tricks involving pins, rather than any supernatural phenomenon.
Next is the explanation for the movement of the
SA message from spirits, the players. S research. When you have a clue about the first letter, your brain will link to subsequent letters to guess and produce a plausible result, even if you don't. Specifically, if asked about a name and you have the first two letters P and E, you will automatically think of names like Penny or Peter. Professor Mars Anderson of Aarhus University, Denmark, once published a study related to common guessing patterns.
He divided participants into two groups. In one group, Anderson asked them to wear glasses with cameras to track eye movements. When asked to spell a word from the board by moving the wooden piece, their eyes arranged the letters in a neat trajectory to push the piece to the corresponding positions.
Participants in Group 1 were given a word in advance, and their task was only to find the positions of that word on the Ouija board. For Group 2, participants were not given any word and had to use the Ouija board normally.
Anderson observed that when playing alone, participants in Group 2 were not good at predicting the next letter. But if they played with someone else, both would predict letters faster and had similar eye movements.
Thus, if playing in a group, predictive ability increases. However, participants all said they felt a loss of control, meaning they didn't feel like they were moving the wooden piece on the Ouija board. Anderson concluded that when you can predict the outcome of an action, you feel in control. Solo players lack predictive ability due to the absence of input from other players, so they feel an external force is in charge. There is a fact you probably already know and have experienced in life. That is, when we go to a hospital, it seems subconsciously that our limbs or some part of our body will tense up, even if you're just there to visit a friend, for example. The phenomenon described above is also one of the reasons people mention when explaining the mechanism of the Ouija board. Skeptics believe that with peripheral factors like darkness and the player's psychology, participants in Ouija sessions will subconsciously take actions that cause the planchette to move, relying entirely on human instinct. According to Ronan Rensing, Associate Professor of Psychology and Computer Science at the University of British Columbia, who also participated in a 2012 experiment. The brain has two main control systems, one conscious and one unconscious, sometimes called the hidden mind.
When using the Ouija board, you feel a loss of control. Your conscious mind steps back, making room for subconscious energy. In addition to the phenomena explained by scientists as above, there is another hypothesis surrounding how the Ouija board works.
It is known that many people believe that the movement of the planchette is actually the participants intentionally moving it to achieve their personal goals. By exploiting typical features of the game,
such as players needing to use a finger to touch the planchette or the rule that at least two people should perform the session, many opportunities are created for individuals who want to use the Ouija board to manipulate people's psychology.
Therefore, throughout human history, there have been many times when the Ouija board was banned in many developed countries. People believe it is a fraudulent game used by those who want to exploit spiritual beliefs for personal gain from gullible individuals.
Although there are many scientific explanations for the Ouija board, we cannot deny that this spiritual ritual holds many mysteries. What is strange and, above all, is the clever ingenuity of humans in creating the Ouija board. So, what else do you know about this mysterious spiritual ritual? Leave your comments below the video. Thank you for watching the video by Vutron. Time flies, goodbye and see you in the next videos. Wishing everyone a good day with your family.
Please subscribe to the Gian Migo channel so you don't miss exciting videos.